nicely. So you have parts. These are parts here. And what unions do is you can basically take two parts. So let's say, let's change the size here. Let's say I wanted to make something like this. So I want this shape right here, this plus symbol, I don't know, maybe for a hospital or something. But right now, you can see this is what I call Z fighting, where both surfaces, it's trying to render this part and this part at the same time over here, and it can't decide which one. And so to avoid that right now, we might have to do something like this, where we have three parts. But what unions allow you to do is we can select both of these parts together, right click, and then union right here. And it turns it into this special union operation right here. And it is a single part. So you can see it's a single part. If you need to undo that, you could also separate a union. So now we have the two parts here, and it's a really powerful tool. It's amazing what you can do. So you can not only, you can group them, but I'm going to show you one other thing. So let's say, we want, I know. So we're going to get one of these parts, change it to a cylinder, and nice and big. So let's say that we want to have a smaller cylinder like this. So we have our large cylinder, and we want to cut a hole through it. That's the size of this small one. So I can make this part, stick through it, right click, and I can negate. You'll notice it turns transparent and pink. And that negated part, when you union it with another part that's normal, it will basically cut away anything that it's touching. So if I right click and union a normal part and a negated part, it'll cut out the negated part right there. So this is really useful for making stuff. I don't use it too often, but there are definitely cases, such as our rug that we're going to use, where this is very useful. I can separate this again if I wanted to, and I'm going to separate. You have to separate a negated part to get it back to normal, and you can do some more complicated stuff like this if you wanted. Let's negate these. Oops, don't want to group it. I want to union it. And you can get some fairly large or fairly complex unions. So let's see how we can put this to use. One thing to note, sometimes people say they have trouble moving parts through each other. Just remember, if you have collisions on, that I can't actually put this part inside another part. So if you're trying to move this part in, you won't be able to. Just remember, you can turn collisions off to fix that. One other tip I find is if I have to make something very small, that building it on a much larger scale using one stud can really help to sometimes when you're building small, it doesn't want to union, it'll give you an error. I find that building on a larger scale helps prevent that, and then once I've made the union, I can scale it down. So for example, this union it, and I can scale it all the way down to this size if I wanted.